Hey everybody, how you all doing? So today I'm going to be doing a tool review of this 5-pound Vibratory tumbler, and here are the instructions for it right here. It comes with green pyramids, 2 pounds of it, which this is basically used to remove rust and grease off of like your parts. And then it also comes with this 2.5 pound of dry shine, which is corn cob, and what this is used for is to put the final shine on your parts. Additional stuff that I'm actually going to be using is this metal wash here, which I bought this separate, and this actually also helps removing rust, but also what's special about this is it also prevents flash rust. Like once the parts are done, it prevents flash rust for up to 3 weeks, which you can see that right there. And I got this baking soda because I've had this for a few years now, so this is my first time using it. And this is supposed to I'm supposed to mix it with whatever liquid that I'm using. Like once I'm done with the metal wash, I'm supposed to mix this with it to make it so that I can flush it down the toilet or wash it down the drain without harming anything. I don't even remember where I read that at, but I bought it some time ago and I went on ahead and just held on to it. Okay, so this tumbler is from Eastwood, and it's actually really well made. So here you have your top screw. It comes with a washer, metal washer, then a rubber gasket here. So you just take the top off, and then this is inside the tumbler here. So you have another small washer here, then you have this spacer, and then if you want to take the bowl out, you just unscrew this, take the washer off, and the whole top part of this bowl lifts off there. And there's a rubber seal here as well that just comes off. It actually looks like it's glued on here, so I'm not going to take that off. It's a 0.6 amp motor, as you can see here. Doesn't appear to have a fan that I can actually see. See, it has a metal bottom to it, or actually this looks like it's some kind of an aluminum plate here. It has rubber feet to prevent it from moving during operation, and even has a mesh screen on here, which I'm going to assume this is to allow it to breathe. The cord is 18 amp, and see it's a 3-prong cord, and I believe it's 5.5 feet long. On the side here is your on and off switch, and then you can see the different springs. It has a total of 4 on here. Alright, so what I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to be doing a few tests, and I have some parts laid out here as well as some coins. The coins, I'm actually just going to use the corn cob, which is just going to clean them up and put a shine on. I'm just kind of curious to see how well it does with cleaning these off. I'm only going to put half of them in, so that way I'll be able to compare to see just how well it does. I have some other, these are some socket attachments to a drill. I'm going to put those in as well because they've rusted being in my toolbox in the garage. And these are some screwdriver bits, and then I've got some bolts here that came off of a fuel tank that I need to clean up. And then up here, just got some random bolts. So again, I have them all in order according to size, and I'm going to put one in of each so that way I'll be able to compare it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load in the green pyramid, and according to the instructions, you should use 30% media, no, I'm sorry, 70% media and then 30% parts. And I'm supposed to line the bottom of the tumbler like so, and then put my parts in and then place more media inside. Okay, so let's grab a couple of these. Oops. And then I'm going to pour more inside of here. And one thing to note is you don't necessarily have to have them covered, just enough media in here to be able to, so when it does the vibration process, it'll be able to tumble all of the parts as it vibrates. So for me, I'm going to put about this much in here. Another thing that you have to be careful of is to make sure you don't overload this. So all of the media, the parts, the liquid, if you use any, including the bowl, cannot exceed over 5 pounds. Okay, so you can run this dry or you can run it wet. So I chose to use mine wet. So this is the metal wash, and this is kind of like what it looks like. It's kind of a powdery grainery texture to it, as you can see there. And what I did was you measure it by teaspoon. So I'm just using an old medicine cup to use to mix it with, since we have a lot of these. And I already have some water here that I'm going to use. I'm just going to mix it in there. Now, according to the instructions, you should just be able to pour the water in and then pour this in inside, but I figured, you know what, I'll just go ahead and mix it. The other thing is you don't want too much water, but you don't want too little. Too much water will prevent the tumbling effect of the motor trying to allow the parts to move. Too little water is not going to be effective enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it in. And it says just to wet the parts. And you shouldn't be able to see the water. In other words, if the water's in the bottom, you shouldn't be able to see any of your any water in there. Okay, so I still got a little bit left. Not much, but a little bit. Alright, so let me go ahead and I'm going to plug this up, and then I'm going to start it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the top on. Rubber washer first, then the metal one, then I'm going to screw this down. And I'm going to screw it tight enough so that it's snug, where it's not going to vibrate or loose. It's recommended to allow it minimum, in my case with the rust that's on there, probably about 6 hours. I'm probably going to come back and check in a few hours just to see how it's doing. And then from there I'll decide, you know, what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to turn on. And as you can see, you see how it's spinning, and yeah, it's definitely vibrating. So I'm going to come back in about 2 hours and see just how well this works. Okay, so the tumbler's been running for roughly about 8.5 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and open her up and just make a comparison to see how well it did. Yeah, now just to let you know, I'm in our basement, and it is kind of loud. The other thing is that which I forgot to mention, I actually put this on the floor. I didn't leave it on the table here because I didn't want it to walk around or anything like that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take this off. And you can see how it's been throwing all of the media and the solution around. So let's see here. The other thing is I need to rinse these off. You know what? I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go rinse these off. Okay, so I've got some water here, and these are one of the parts here, so you just rinse it off. And then I'm going to grab the identical one that was rusted as well. And you can see, look how well it cleaned that. It cleaned it real well. Really good. Yeah, it looks like there's still rust up here. I don't know, once I let it dry, it's still a little down here, but not too bad. Okay, so let me get one of the other pieces over here. Let's see. And I think another thing what I should have done is that metal wash. I should have used 2 tablespoons as opposed to just 1. Okay, so here's another one. Yeah, I mean, it cleaned it up some, but you can still see rust like right in here. Yeah, I mean, it looks better, but it's not quite there the way that the results aren't quite what I want. So we'll just put that over there. Now let's let me get one of the nuts in here. Oh man, okay. Well, with this one. Some of the media is actually stuck on the inside of it. And I see that one came out pretty good. I'm not exactly sure, you know, what this is made out of. See, the media is stuck in there. So yeah, not too bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to redo it. I'm going to rinse this out. And oh, let me show you the sockets here. I'm going to rinse this out, and I'm going to let it go at it again for about an hour, but with a stronger solution, see if that makes a difference on those other parts. Okay. Yeah, look at that. That looks really good. See, look at it. Still got a little rust on the inside there, but it look, you can even read, you know, the numbers on there, whereas look at this one, you can barely see it. So yeah, not bad. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna rinse this out, and then I'm gonna redo it so that I could try to clean those parts a little more. Okay, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I went on ahead and I cleaned the tub out here, and it's real easy. You know, I didn't have to take it off or anything. I just used my strainer here, poured the media in here, rinsed it off with a garden hose that I have that I can hook up to the sink here in the basement, and I rinsed the inside of the tub out. And this time I used up all of the media, the green media, and I put the rest of the parts in here, as well as 2 cups of the metal wash diluted in water. So I'm going to go ahead and start this up. Oh, another thing, make sure that this screw here is really tight, because if it's not, you're going to have seepage underneath, which you can see this residue right here. That came because the first time when I did it, I didn't have it all the way tight. So make sure this screw is tight, as well as the screw on top is really tight as well. So I'm probably going to let this go for about another 8 hours, and yeah, see what the results are. So I'll come back then. Okay, so I've already removed all the parts here, and as you can see, you know, they turned out really good. They cleaned up real nice. You can look on here, you can actually see the detail of the, if my camera focus, there we go, of what size this is. You see that? Before you couldn't even see that. And then these are all of the bolts here, you see, and they look pretty good. You know, these still look like they got a little rust on them, but they're still, you know, much better than they were before. So I left them in there tumbling for about 11.5 hours. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use the dry shine, which is going to actually polish them up, and I'm going to put half of them in, and I'm going to put in half of my coins too at the same time, and we'll see a comparison to see just how well they did. But yeah, I'm pleased with it. Oh, and then let me show you inside of the tumbler. And as you can see on the outside, you see some of the mixture actually kind of came out of it while it was tumbling, and you see that's what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the baking soda. I'm going to pour it in here, and it's going to neutralize this, so that way it'll go down the drain. It won't harm anything. And then I'm going to just go ahead and, you know, flush this out with my garden hose, and I'm going to rinse off the media here, allow it to dry. I'm going to rinse it out in the strainer there, allow it to dry, and then I'm going to put it back in a bag to reuse at a later time. Oh, almost forgot one other thing. In order to remove the whole tub here, just unscrew this. You see that screw there? Unscrew that all the way, and then this whole thing lifts off, which I'm going to do that when I'm done with it, because this is going to be sitting most of the time, and I don't want all this stuff, you know, in there. So I'm going to wash it with soap and water, and it cleans up really good too. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to polish all of the parts that I tumbled, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the dry shine, and the mixture is pretty much the same, 70% media, 30% parts, and this has to be done dry only. You're not to add any chemicals to it, and this particular type actually has the polishing component embedded inside of the corn cob here, And the runtime for this is minimal, 6 hours to 24 hours as the max. So I'm probably going to just run it for 6, kind of see, you know, what it looks like. And then I'm going to come back. And I believe, just like the green pyramid media, I believe this is reusable too until it, you know, gets into like a powdery substance. Okay, so point over here. So what I'm going to do is, so I've got my coins here. I'm going to put 3 of each. So those are quarters, those are nickels, these are dimes. And I'm definitely going to put that one in there. I'm curious to see if it's going to clean it off. This is not real aggressive, and it's not going to remove a lot of material. So it'd be interesting to see. And like really the pennies, because you could tell when you got a really good penny. This is actually going to be a good test for those. Okay, and then I'm going to do half of each one of my other parts that I tumbled, just to see, yeah, you know, if there is really a big difference, you know, with all of that. Oh, let's see here. Okay, and I'm going to add a little more media. And with this, not much, just a little more. And I think that should be good enough. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, oh yeah, one other thing. It's important that you actually do clean the inside really well with soap and water, so that way the inside is clean. There won't be any contaminants, or that the parts won't, the media won't stick to the side there. And I'm willing to bet that this is actually going to be quiet. It's going to run quieter than it did with the green pyramid, because this is a finer grain of media. So, yeah, I'm going to find out. So I'm going to plug this in, turn it on, let you hear the difference. And let's see. Still sounds a little loud to me, but it's okay. It's in the basement. We can't really hear it upstairs. So I'm going to come back probably in about maybe 8 hours, because that's 8 to 10 hours. It's kind of like what I did with the other green media, and we'll see what the results are. Alright, so it's been roughly about 16 hours since I've had this the Tumbler running, and I'm going to check the results now to see just how well they did with the corn cob and shining up the parts. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and just take everything out and then line it up with the ones that haven't been done yet. But just to, you know, show you, so here's one of them right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put them over here to the side over there, and then I'll come back. Alright, so I went ahead and I laid out all of my stuff here, and I'm not quite sure if you're going to be able to tell. So like for my coins right here, this side, all of these are the ones that came out of the tumbler. Remember that one I showed you earlier that had the dirt or whatever on it? yeah, it didn't come off that much. I mean, outside of a few of them, it's really hard to tell. Yeah, it's hard to say. You know, some of them look shinier than others, but all of these weren't necessarily the same color when I put them in, or dirty, but they definitely got a bit of a shine to them, as opposed to these here. Same with the dimes. These are the ones. Well, this is the one that was tumbled. I can't seem to find the other one. I know it's in there. And same here with the nickels. These are the ones that were tumbled. You could actually tell the difference where these look more silverish and shinier as opposed to these here. And the quarters, I really can't tell much of a difference with them. Now up here, I was able to tell a slight difference. So if you look at this row down here, these are the ones that were I took out of the tumbler, and you can see that they're shinier, and it looks like they even have a deeper definition to them, whereas they look a little darker in color even though they're both the same. And kind of a little bit I noticed it with this one here. And then up here with the other bolts and nuts, these down here, these were the ones that I took out the tumbler, and as you can see, they're shinier, and as well as it looks like the rust pits on here are you can kind of see them a little better. As far as these, because this whole row down here, all of these were shine. You can definitely tell the difference where they look shinier, and even the imperfections in the metal is kind of highlighted more with the shine. Let me see. So yeah, I mean, you know, as far as the coins are concerned, I should have went on ahead and used the green media to clean them off first and then shined them up. I'm sure the results would have been a lot better. But my overall experience with this, I really like it. I believe that it's definitely something to worth the invest in, especially if you have parts that are small enough to fit in it, that you can just throw them in there, let the tumbler do its thing while you do other work or don't do anything. Yeah, it does take a long time, but at the same time, I mean, literally, you don't have to do anything except clean this out and fill it up, and that's pretty much it. The other good thing is that the media is reusable. You can keep reusing it up until the point whereas it's you know, pretty much disintegrated, you know, to a powder where it's not doing its job anymore. This particular unit, I really do like it. I didn't have any problems with it overheating, even with the extended period of time that I had outside of the one issue where it was coming out through the bottom, but that was user error. I fixed that. It's easy to clean. The one thing that I would do is buy a second bowl to use, so that one bowl will have one type of media and then the other bowl will have another type. So that way I could just swap it out and the other one could be doing this thing while I'm cleaning the other one out. So that would probably be the only other thing. So yeah, I give it a big thumbs up. So if you guys have any questions, you know, any other tests that you are interested in for me to, you know, to put in here to try to, you know, see how the results are, just let me know. And if I can do it, I'll be more than happy to. All right, you guys have yourself a blessed day. So I've completely disassembled the top portion of my vibratory tumbler, and I just wanted to kind of show you the different parts of it. So you have well, first the motor, you have the lid, you have the bowl, this is the bottom gasket, this is the gasket that sits on top of the bowl right here. You have two spacers, you have the hand, I guess you call this the hand nut. You have a lock washer, or I'm sorry, a lock nut, two washers, two rubber seals, and two flat washers there. So to reassemble this, because I had to take it apart so that I could clean it, because I kind of made a mess first time use. I used this Dawn Platinum here, and I pretty much use this for pretty much anything that I clean around the house. It works really good. Don't even need to use a lot of it. So the first thing is to put the big rubber gasket back on the bottom there. Then there's got to put this spacer on here. Then there's another washer, and then because this is a lock nut, because it's a lock nut, it actually takes a little longer to screw this down. I actually have to use pliers to do that. Okay, you want to put the tub on like that. Oh, actually, no. Got to put this on. In the tub. Then one of these rubber gaskets here. Then the flat washer. Then I'm going to put this wing nut on. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually pause the video and come back after I get this on. Okay, so yeah, you want to make sure that you tighten this nut as much as you can, because this is what prevents leaks from it going through the center and leaking out on the bottom here. Okay, so now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my spacer on there, along with the smaller washer there, and then I'm going to put the rubber seal back around. Again, this was actually glued on there, but it kind of came off when I was cleaning it, and I don't think you have to re-glue it back on, because it has a lip on the inside and outside, and the pressure from it being the top being screwed on, pushes it down and keeps it in place. Okay, and then you just put that on there like that. Then you put your rubber gasket on there, washer, and then spin the top hand nut on there. I guess that's what this is called. And then that's it. Okay, well, I went on ahead and took the nut off so I could just go ahead and lift the whole tub up instead of trying to, balance this and rinse it out in the tub. So here's the screw here, or the nut here, and then there's another washer and rubber gasket there. And then the only other thing you got to do is just lift it straight up just like that. So you see how all of this came down here, and that's because the first time I used it, I didn't have, see, when it was like this nut here that spins on here, it wasn't on there real tight, so it allowed stuff to go through the hole here. So Yeah, the only thing is it took me a couple minutes just to thread that nut all the way off, because you see, you know, how far it's got to go. But this would be much easier to clean. Plus, I can clean underneath here as well. So I just wanted to kind of show you that. Okay, I decided to just go and show you how I go through the process of cleaning everything. So as you can see, I have the bowl in here. I also have my other parts here. And so what I do with the baking soda, before I push it down the drain, I just sprinkle some around in here. Like that. And then I'm using warm water. And you see how I can just use this to rinse pretty much everything off. And it's just much easier because I don't have to worry about being real careful. Like I did the first time, I kept it on the actual stand, and I had to be careful not to let the cord fall in there. Then it was bottom heavy and everything like that. And then like for these parts here, I can just kind of spray them, rinse them off like that. You see how, you know, it comes off really good. And it's a good idea to get a regular size strainer, because that way all your stuff can fit in there. You know, it just makes it so much easier. It really does. So you see how clean that came. And just make sure that you have all your parts too. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take this rubber seal off here. Rinse that off too. This to the side. Then the bowl I'm going to take and I'm going to just strain it. So as you can see, all of the media is out and it's in the strainer. So I'm going to just go ahead and take this out. So see, to me, this works a lot better. And then what I'm going to do with the final wash when I'm finished, I'm just going to use some regular Dawn dish liquid and some warm water, and then just go ahead and just clean this all out here. And the other good thing about the strainer, because see, I actually forgot a part in here. I'm probably going to find some other ones too. But that's another good thing, having a strainer. If you got any parts in there, you'll be able to find them and you'll be able to get them out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry overnight before I put it back in its bag.